Thank you, Mr. Seth. So, as Mr. Seth said, that these guidelines have been developed under a Indo-Swiss Building Energy Efficiency project, which is now on for almost 2.5 years, and this is a 5-year collaboration. And these guidelines is one part of that work which we are doing under that collaboration. There's a lot of work being done with large commercial buildings, helping them in designing energy efficient buildings. There is work being done on insulation material testing. There is also work being done with 2 states, Karnataka and Rajasthan, to help them with design of public buildings. And then we are also developing various training programs as well as knowledge material under this collaboration. So we have heard little bit about this since morning. I think one of the things is that number of urban households are likely to double in next 20 years. And what we see is almost 300 to 400% increase in constructed area as far as residential buildings are concerned. Little bit it was mentioned in the inaugural session also. There are different estimates which range from 4 to 7 times increase in electricity consumption in residential buildings over next 20 years. So whatever may be the situation, what we are looking at is in a context where the electricity consumption is going to rise very rapidly, and there are issues related with peak demand shortages in urban centers. So when we started this project, we started with collecting data on sample flats in the NCR region. And what came out very clearly, like we had a sample of around 800 flats which were of different types. We found that the average energy performance index, like what Saket earlier also talked about, EPI, energy performance index, which is one of the measure, it was around 50 kilowatt hour per meter square per year. That means typically a middle class household is consuming 50 kilowatt hours of electricity per square meter per year. And lot of this information is available in the guidelines. And we also found that there is a difference of 1:5. Like in the same housing complex, a household may be consuming an X amount, the other may be consuming 5X. And most of this consumption is like a huge part of this consumption is for the summer months. And which will, like here in the graph, you can see the month wise, while in the month of say February or March or November, the demands are quite similar across different households, but there is a lot of difference in the summer months, depending on how much air conditioning they are using. We also tracked data for one housing complex over around 10 years. And we found that as the complex changed over from desert coolers and fans, and as they moved towards air conditioner, how much almost 2.5 times increase in EPI has been noticed during the summer months. So all this gave us some basics on which we could develop these guidelines. But also to like if you look at energy efficiency in residential buildings, I think it is a quite complex area. What we have done is a small part in terms of coming up with guidelines, which you see in the first box, energy efficiency design, this part guidelines. User behavior impacts a lot, and then appliances. So what we have to see as a nation, that how we act on all these, then only these guidelines will be meaningful, because on their own probably they will not create so much of impact. So probably what we also require is a clear roadmap that how we are going to tackle the issue of energy efficiency in residential buildings. Now in terms of methodology, I have already said the first step was getting this data. Then we also monitored few households over 1.5 years period, where individual appliances were monitored, so that we get data, so that we can calibrate our computer models. So the second step was development and validation of energy simulation models for typical spaces for bedrooms, living rooms, and then evaluation of potential energy efficiency strategies. Several software programs were used we had around 300 different combinations which were simulated. And then we also looked at international practices, and that's how we have formulated the guidelines. But our work is not yet over. What we see is that this is the first set of guidelines. They will be now put in the public, and we expect that over next 1 year, we further revise it based on the inputs which we receive, we should have better case studies to show that what we are doing. So this first set of guidelines are for composited hot dry climate. The guidelines for warm and humid would be released next year. These are mostly for built-up area of flats is around say 70 to 200 square meters, height of buildings up to 25-story buildings. So more or around 4 to 25 story is where we have focused, and we take into account operational energy. In the next version, we will also try to include embodied energy, how much energy goes into the construction of the building, which is also a very significant part. So we have 15 recommendations in the guidelines. They start from building massing and spatial configuration, the building envelope, space cooling systems, appliances, common services, renewable energy. So that is the order in which these 15 recommendations are there. I will very quickly go over these recommendations. So on building massing and spatial configuration, the main objective is that how to minimize solar exposure on external vertical surfaces, because in the hot climates, finally the cooling which we require is because already a lot of heat has come inside the spaces. So which starts with simple, well-known things on proper orientation of the building, selection of building shape. In the guidelines, you will see that we have discussed various shapes and what is their impact on how much exposed surface area is there. Then arranging building blocks to benefit from mutual shading, which may be possible when we have large residential complexes. There we can also take into account how much would be the effect of mutual shading. So this is the first part. Then we go to the building envelope. So what we have done, that this is basically dealing with the recommendations for the walls and windows. We have 3 packages, like we have various measures, we have categorized under 3 packages. The package 1 is that which can be implemented right now. It deals with the color of the walls, on the walls. The outside color itself impacts quite a lot. The darker the color, more solar radiation and heat which it absorbs. The effect of window shades, which is something which we were traditionally very good on window shades. Now we see a lot of buildings where windows are not properly shaded. So we talk about the shading of windows, better insulation of walls, and optimize natural ventilation so that we are able to ventilate the building properly. So which can directly result into almost 20% reduction in the cooling thermal energy which is required. We can go a step forward with package 2 measures, and there we found that the technique of having external movable shutters on windows, that means the windows which are shaded from outside, external systems, those are very, very effective. And this is something which, like we have traditional systems like CHICS and some of the other things, but we require many, many more such solutions to come into this. And under this collaboration, we will be launching a national design competition so that we are also able to promote this. And then the third was that further improving the wall insulation, double glazing, better building tightness. Then design day use spaces, particularly kitchen and living room. The spaces which are used during the day to have adequate daylighting, insulation of roof and providing reflective surface, which is well known. So taking care of the roof. So in the guideline, you will find in the main document, all of these are schematically shown. There are some photographs also which are there which show these different measures. Now, after we have taken care of the building envelope, then we look at how are we going to cool that space. And one of the important thing, which I think now several of you would be aware, that just by raising the cooling set point from 24 to 28 degrees centigrade, one can achieve almost 50% reduction in the cooling thermal energy demand. So this is one which is also related with our behavioral pattern. I think that is the moment we are operating at 28 degrees centigrade, we can use evaporative cooling, fans, much more, we can really reduce the energy requirement. Then, then the 8th is design the space cooling system so as to utilize the full potential of natural ventilation, fans, and evaporative cooling. So before we really go into air conditioning, we have to utilize these means. Then incorporate new and innovative ways for improving efficiency of the room air conditioners. So in the guidelines, you will find that apart from the BE Star label, we have also talked about common building level systems where you can have water cooling of split AC units, which can really increase further the air conditioning, the efficiency of air conditioning systems. And then we have also dealt with heat generated in the kitchen, how it should be evacuated, because when we have now a lot of these open kitchens, that heat comes inside the spaces. So that is also dealt with. Then for appliances, we have just relied on whatever labels we have within the BE system: transformers, tube lights, ceiling fans, air conditioners, and today's DG set. All of those can be directly taken and can be utilized there. Then we come to common services. What we found that in multi-story building complexes, almost 15% of the electricity is used for common services, which means the lighting of common areas. So there are recommendations for that. Then every housing society here has a pumping system, that what we can do to reduce electricity consumption for the pumping system. So that is dealt with. And then the lifts, because as we are now having taller and taller buildings, so we have looked at both the things: standby consumption of electricity in lifts as well as operational electricity, because in residential buildings, almost 50% of the electricity in lifts is only used for standby consumption, just the lighting and the fans and these type of things. Then how much we can generate from the building. So that comes in the renewable energy integration. In this set of guidelines, we have focused much more on the solar water heating and solar photovoltaic. In future, we can even add waste to energy and things like that. One of the interesting things, which was like we were having an expert workshop, and it was pointed out by Mr. Tanmay Tathagat, and then we further worked on it. What we see is that up to 4-story, if you really build the building as per the principles which are there, and if you just put solar photovoltaic panels on the roof which is available, even if you utilize say 80% of that area, the complex can generate as much electricity over the year that what it is going to consume over the year. So it is also possible that even in multi-story buildings, when we are dealing with 4 or 5-story, it may be possible to have almost sort of net zero residential building concepts. So and then we have dealt quite detailed with water heating systems and what different type of systems are possible, and up to 10-12 stories they are very effective. Beyond that, there are issues where their integration. So just to conclude, I'm just giving you one sort of simple representation, that if suppose the first 100% is our business as usual, how we are building now. If we incorporate passive measures, this is just for say one case, say 6-story building, we did this analysis. So almost 25% reduction you can get through the passive measures which were there in terms of massing and envelope. Further 25% reduction, you can come to around 50% by taking cooling and appliances. So you are already at the 50% level on what is the business as usual scenario. You can generate around say 20% depending on the surface area, the roof area which you have available. Around 20% you can generate from renewable energy, and then finally around balance 30%, that is what you have to take from the grid. So the message here is that significant reductions are possible in the electricity which we are consuming in the residential sector. So also, like before I end, I would like to also, like there's a big team which worked on this. So we had guidance from B, Mr. Sanjay Seth, Mr. Girja Shankar, involved for last several years in this. From SDC, Dr. Veena Joshi, she was instrumental in really putting this project together. Dr. Anand Shukla, who is now leading this project from SDC side. We have a very competent Swiss team. Unfortunately, none of those are here today for this, led by Mr. Pierre Jobyadov. Lot of the simulation on which the guidelines are based are done by the team from FNART, and then Green Tech Knowledge Solutions, which is our team based here. My colleagues Prashant, Sashwati, Kanagraj, Dheeraj, all of them have contributed in this design of these guidelines. Then we got Ashok Bilal. He was involved since beginning in this, and lot of the work on the baseline data collection was done by his team. A lot of analysis at that time. Then Tara Nirman Kendra, we also had 2 individual consultants, Mr. Virendra Kothari and Mr. Vijay Matange. Apart from that, we had several interactions, and we are grateful for all the experts who have provided inputs in the formulation of this guidelines. So with this, I would like to thank you. The detailed guidelines would be by tomorrow. We hope to upload them on these websites. So there is a website called beepindia.org. So the detailed guidelines, which is around 200 pages, would be available there. Thank you.